Good morning, Cassadaga. How's everybody doing? Good, good, good. Lots of energy here. I always say Cassadaga is my vacation, because I come here and there's no TV, there's no distractions, and you just get to meditate, right? So Dr. Gates and I were just talking, walking back from Davis Hall, and we were talking about how I prepare to speak. And one of the things is usually about 2 or 3 days beforehand, Spirit starts talking to me and starts saying, well, think about this, think about this. And then literally recently, well, on Thursday, a book just fell off of my table onto the ground. And it's a book I've been studying that I use in my healing practice called The Metaphysical Anatomy. And it really just started to go into the ideas of the electromagnetic field that is surrounded around us. Everybody know what I'm talking about with the electromagnetic field? Well, the interesting thing about the electromagnetic field is science has measured this field that literally when you're in that love state is large and enormous. But when you're in a fear state, it starts to collapse in on itself. It's almost like you're energetically this child, this light in the corner where it's scared. And so what it does is when you're in a love state, you're very empowered. You're very powerful in your state of beingness and here in this present moment. But when you're in a fear state, you're either very much in the past or you're very much in the future and you're concerned about all the what ifs. Everybody relate to this? Okay, so right now on social media, the big fear is in a couple days, right? We know what I'm talking about, the eclipse. So what I would like to do is just for a second, everybody just place their hand on their heart. And I want you to just feel peace. And I want you to feel that word of peace just literally just vibrate out all the way in your body and out from your body. And then I want you to feel the word love. And I want you to feel the word harmony. And then the word truth. And take a deep breath in and let it all out. And so it shall be. Everybody feel that? So anytime you go into that fear state, I don't care what it is, your checkbook is getting a little bit low, there's a bill that comes in that's a little bigger than it used to be, and that's been the practice over the past couple of years, am I correct? Gas prices are a little higher than they should be. Eggs are $9. Blew my mind away. Considering my grandma used to trade all of her vegetables for eggs for free, but $9. But this literally, each one of these circumstances is an opportunity for you to stop and say truth, love, peace. Another word, abundance, prosperity. Because what that does is instead of you going into a fear state, it automatically and very simply takes your electromagnetic field and starts expanding. Did everybody feel that expansion when you were saying those words? You were taking your power back in that moment of fear. So I was raised in a church, a very strict Christian church. There was a branch off from the Seventh-day Adventists. And I was raised in a church that was very, very much about fear, that there was an end time, that everybody was going to die except for 144,000 people. So I was raised with this pressure of fear of my electromagnetic field collapsing in on itself. So I used to question the minister all the time. Well, if that's true, then why is this happening? And, a 7-year-old generally doesn't ask these questions. And I was told that children should be seen and what? Not heard. That didn't really work for my mother too much. It was my grandmother that thought I should have been seen and not heard. But the reason why I bring that story up is much like each one of you, I question everything. I wanted to understand why God was there. I wanted to understand why things happened, that people got instantly better within medical science couldn't explain it. I wanted to know. So I started studying quantum physics and spiritualism and metaphysics and everything I could get my hand on, Buddhism, Christianity, everything that I could get my hand on, because I was what? Curious. Much like you, because when you're curious, that is the inspiration within you that is childlike. And it says in the Bible, the one that inherits the kingdom of heaven is what? Childlike. That it steps into that childlike state so that we can be empowered. And the more curious you are, and the more excited and the more inspired you are, that electromagnetic field gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So I wanted to understand why in Louise Hay's books that she talks about different things about the different diagnoses. So I used to go deeper in because the little statements in there were great, but I wanted to know more. And so I continued to study acupuncture and Qigong and stuff like that because I wanted to know. So my message to you today is to allow yourself to be empowered, and through your inspiration, you use that to motivate you in your spiritual life, to be curious, to continue to be inspired. And that's how we're going to change this world. Our social media, our news, and everything is geared towards us doing this, pointing fingers and wondering why these people are doing these things and why they're not compassionate like us. But if there is one finger pointing out in judgment, what do we got pointing back at us? 3, this is also a magic wand. Does everybody know that? As you point intentions out, it is pointing away from your Garden of Eden, right here. You're casting yourself out of your own Garden of Eden. And guess what? Something else is in there, nobody's in there pruning the garden and pulling out the weeds and everything like that. All the flowers are being overcome with all the weeds and everything. Instead of you practicing, as Dr. Gates was saying this morning, you have to practice at being a medium every single day. So you have to practice spiritualism in your spiritual life every single day. And the blessing, Charles Fillmore said that spirituality and spiritual growth is a lifelong process. So I have clients sitting in front of me and they'll say to me, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I'm like, stop shooting on your life. And there's a reason for that. Take that moment where you judged yourself and stop and say, why did I do that? Because through your being curious of why you do it is how you're going to grow. The first step in emotional intelligence is self-awareness, not self-criticism. So what ends up happening in spirituality, and a lot of people get really upset, is that when we start looking at different things, people start saying, you're just judging me. And I'm like, no, I'm curious of why you think that. I want to understand, because we're all what? Mirrors of each other. So if you're judging yourself, there's chances are there's somewhere in me I'm judging myself, because as Socrates said, likes attract what? Like. So if you're sitting in front of me as a client, chances are there's a lesson in there for me. Does that make sense? For the mediums and healers in the room, do you guys find that you work on people, that you're having that same lesson or that same work thing you have to work on yourself? Of course, embrace that, because as we know, we are the channel or the vessel for the energy to come through us. And because we're the channel and the vessel for energy to come through us, we get to be healed too. Isn't that great? Everybody understand that part? I never understood that until my mother was a very gifted healer. And she said to me, the coolest thing, Jared, is I never get tired when I'm healing. Yes, at the end of the day, I've worked and I've had a lot of energy going through me, and I need to rest. I need to honor my temple and my body. But the truth is all the healing that I'm giving other people, I'm getting back too. And it's because the universe is what I put out there comes back tenfold. Am I correct? But here's the science behind it. And this is what's really fascinating. And I was talking about this at my workshop yesterday. In the brain, there is what is called the reptilian brain, and then there is the Olympian brain. The Olympian brain is what they in science call the limbic brain. The reptilian brain is the gatekeeper. It is the part of your brain that says, no, that can't be possible. It's the doubter. And so you have to get past that part of your brain, because that brain is based on instinct. Basically what it is instinct comes from past trauma and things in your life where you're thinking too far in the future or too far in the past and not in the now of the moment. The Olympian brain, or the limbic brain, why it's so cool is that if you were to walk up to somebody at the end of a church, and I challenge you to do so, and give somebody a hug, your limbic brain doesn't know that you're hugging somebody else. It only knows it feels love inside itself. That's all it knows. So here's the other cool part. Everybody knows what intrinsic thoughts are, or that self-criticism, self-doubt. That is programs that you've seen from all your trauma, from generational, DNA, past lives, all that kind of stuff in your system and in your energy. So All those programs where you're sitting there and saying, well, I can't do that. Well, I'm not sure about that because you haven't been practicing it, or life hasn't been happening in that order, or whatever you've got going on in your energy. With the limbic brain, when you said peace, truth, and love inside, it doesn't know that you're sending energy out to other people. All it knows is it's feeling love, peace, harmony, truth, abundance, and prosperity. Because what science has proved to us, quantum physics has proved to us, is that intention creates. And so in spirituality, we would say the divine masculine creates, pushes forward, and the divine feminine, when we let go and let who? God, right? It starts to create around. And in natural law, they call that the law of gestation in the Hermetic natural law. Well, what happens in a woman for 9 months when a baby is created? The masculine gives what? The seed to create. And then the divine feminine, what? Gestates for 9 months and lets it's a Polaroid and it pops out instantaneously. It has to spend 9 months creating a baby. Am I correct? So it takes both in unison and balance. That is the yin and the yang. But what ends up happening in our world is I just did a TikTok video the other day, and I said there is a war on being authentic in our world. Meaning, if somebody is out there expressing themselves fully, there's other people there to judge them and say, well, that's not true. And of course, there's people that are expressing their opinions that don't have the experience that you and I have, and they may not have all the answers. But do you guys remember when you were young and you didn't have all the answers? Well, do we all still have all the answers? No. But through expressing ourselves, through inspiration, as we do that, we get a chance to grow, because then the universe brings something in that teaches you something new. Whether it be to humble you. The universe has an ebb and flow, am I correct? So things go way up and you have very high energy, and then things crash down sometimes and we get humbled. So one of the things from my Christian upbringing is I always thought being humbled was a bad thing. I thought it was a negative thing, like how dare God make me come down to my knees? That's kind of the attitude I had inside of me. And then I realized being humbled is the most amazing, gracious, and empowering experience you will ever have. Because as you come down to your knees, you have to do what? Look up. And then you get to reach for the stars. And I learned that. I was at the Mayan Ruins. Well, I've learned it through experience, but I was at the Mayan Ruins at Chochaban in Mexico. And the stairs are literally where the people literally had to step up, but they had to kneel down in order to step because the steps were so high. The idea was to make them kneel down so they were humbled as they were moving up the steps. And there was a lady that was with us. It was during COVID in 2020, towards the end of COVID. And the Omicron variant had come out. And my cruise that I had put together went from 110 people down to 5 people because everybody was very scared of that variant that was coming out. Well, one of the ladies that was with me was 89 years old. And she said, I said, do you want, there's an easier way to get up over here if you wanted to. And I said, she says, no. I read about this place in National Geographic in 1971, and I've been wanting to come here all my life. I'm walking up those stairs. I was like, all right. I walked behind her far enough to where she didn't feel like I was trying to protect her. But that was a very humbling experience to watch this lady fulfill her dream. So what that told me, it was very humbling to me, is it doesn't matter what age you are, if there's inspiration in you, if there's something that is empowering you and you're able to do it, then you do it. You take that step forward, you move forward, and you try. And guess what? Sometimes you're going to get knocked down. My plans at the beginning of this year was I was supposed to be in Scotland over for the summer. And then my cousin called me up. Money wasn't coming in like it should to be able to afford that. But then my cousin called me up and said to me, Jer, I have pancreatic cancer. And I remember thinking, I was literally 2 days away from going up to Charlottesville for 2 months, Charlottesville, Virginia. And I was excited I was going to be living right next to Thomas Jefferson's house, and the Monroe Institute was going to be there. And I was like, this is going to be a really great time for me spiritually. But the real spiritual lesson wasn't about the Monroe Institute or Scotland or any not making enough money for a while. It was about sticking to my roots and being there for somebody that was the last person alive was there when I was born. And if she would have, if I wouldn't have been here, I would have regretted it. Can you relate to that? So what I'm here to also tell you is that there is this huge, vast consciousness or universe or spirituality or God that's out there that knows better than us. And you're a part of that. I had a lady at an event last year. She told me, I was talking about the Archangel Michael, and she said to me, I hate to tell you this. The energy has changed. There is no spirit guides or Archangel Michael anymore. We just go, people that are evolved go straight to God. And I said, I hate to break it to you, but we're all one. So when you talk to the Archangel Michael, guess who else you're talking to? God. And she was like, and she walks away. And I was like, but we can look at her and judge her. But the truth is there was something in her that didn't feel worthy enough to express herself in a way that said, you know, what I've been feeling is that I just go straight to God. And I don't necessarily go through Archangel Michael. And I would have said, that's really cool that that's your experience. See the subtlety and the difference in the energy? So this is how we can start creating and changing our world, by being in flow with people, because language was broken up at this big tower in Babel. Anybody know what I'm talking about? So when God crashed down the Tower of Babel, he broke us up and we separated us with language, right? And so we all speak differently, but we're in unison in spirit, in the spirit of God, through inspiration. There is no separation. You just feel it. Everybody feel that? And that's your empowerment, my friends. To be in that moment, to feel the heart energy between all of us. So there is a lot going on in the world. I just want to end with just one final thing. Everybody put their hands on their heart again. And I want you to feel this world, everything, all aspects of it. I want you to just feel it because you are that. And I want you to feel all that heart energy. And I want you to feel truth, peace, love, harmony. And I want you to see all the wars and the pain and the joy and the babies being born, every aspect of it. And I want you to feel peace, love, harmony, and joy. Take a deep breath in and breathe life into that. Bring it back. 1, 2, 3. Say it with me. And so it shall be. Much love, everybody. Thank you so much for having me.